the community call, not during the community call, but also on a Thursday, and using a similar template, like going through working groups and just having people share. Maybe having like 30 seconds each that people could share about things that they learned in the working groups, or, how was some of their experiences. And then I thought maybe it could be something a little more intimate to have during the stewards call, and then maybe have like first something for the stewards that are leaving the role of stewardship, and have a celebration for that, but then talking to Tim and Nate about it, because there's already some type of an offboarding ceremony that we usually do. And then maybe from there seeing how it could be nice to like honor some of the contributors. Maybe each steward could make a list of contributors they want to thank, and do a little, like maybe something written about it. It doesn't need to be a call, it could be a forum post with acknowledgments.
Yeah, I think we could do both.
Yeah. Did you think of something?
Not really, but I think what you're saying is very spot on. Um, and yeah, think like having that ceremony in the stewards, think it's great. And also, you know I also don't think we are going to be able to cover everyone on the community call, so it's great if we can separate some of the groups, or I don't know.
Hi guys. Hi Dorgadas, Irene, Rather Mercurial.
Mm.
Hi.
Hey, welcome. Hey, Rather. Yeah, of course. I haven't seen you here. If you want to say hi and just introduce yourself. If you just want to listen, that's great too. Okay. Yeah. Welcome. And we've been talking about, so last week we discussed a little bit about a transition celebration for the stewards working group, for the working groups. For we have so much that is changing lately in the TEC, so having a moment to acknowledge that, and to honor what has passed, and an open space for the changes that are coming, and make sure everybody feels acknowledged and seen, and that there is a nice transition. So let me share my screen. I was just suggesting we could do one thing during the stewards call, to just invite, well, do the normal stewards offboarding ceremonies that we do, and then also invite stewards to think of contributors and contributions they want to thank, and maybe make a forum post of that, and then talking to stewards to see if we need a call for that, inviting people. How does it feel better? But I guess there's not so much to this. I was hoping we could gather some ideas today and then bring to the stewards working group to discuss a little bit more. So if anyone has something to add, feel free.
I was thinking about this after the meeting last week. Um, what I was thinking is that acknowledging for one instance what they feel about this change, because what it is a change, and but I was thinking about activities that could bring that up, and I could only come up with a circle of sharing. And I was also thinking about acknowledging their participation, because maybe they don't end the participation just like that and want to contribute more, even though the grant what is not there. But maybe they keep participating, maybe not. Doing like something like a little badge of participation, or you were here, or you have been here, and like a I don't know, it could be like a treasure hunt or something like that, where each one tells their experience of the valuable things that they brought here. Like I experienced that you brought this, and so we add things to their chest of treasure, and then a little bit of a badge or something like that. It's not well rounded, my idea, but that's what was nice for me to do.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds great. We do have a badge for stewards, but I'm thinking it could be nice to have a badge for everyone that ever received contributions from the TC that are no longer receiving. So maybe looking into all of the people that were compensated through proposals. But actually, yeah. I mean, because we're not setting up that working group proposals are not going to continue. I think there's just this sentiment that there's a little bit of a scarcity sentiment. But maybe it's better to focus just on stewards, because this is the certainty we have, right? And then maybe how were people, I guess that's a good question, like how working groups are going to change in their structure when the steward compensation changes. I guess each working group is deciding for their own. Did you think of this for who, Irene?
No, I didn't think of that. I was thinking about something general about everybody that it's not longer with a role, with a structured role anymore, and it's like everyone that is in that situation.
That's a good point. Yeah. Everyone that had a role and no longer has a role. Cool. Yeah, I'll bring this to. We could. Yeah, you guys are more than welcome to join to the next stewards call, so we can bring these ideas and share.
Okay.
There was a call yesterday that I couldn't join because I was on the ground trip here. I don't know if you guys were able to join.
Yeah, I
No.
Yeah, Auntie, you're there. I can't hear you if you're speaking.
Concerns from the people on the call. A lot of us weren't stewards, all of the attendants, and Nate suggested that we probably discuss further, present any concerns, and maybe we redo the snapshot voting.
Redo the snapshot voting for the stewards proposal? I think you're cutting up because I only heard a little bit of what you said. Can anybody hear him?
Um, is
Uh,
is it better now?
yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah. So we chatted for pretty much the whole hour about the transformation proposal, and um, a lot of us had some concerns uh, about like it overall seemed pretty good, but some just some details. And Nate suggested we just discuss it more, um, ask questions, make recommendations, whatever, and depending on how it goes, we may or may not do the snapshot vote again. Because he also mentioned something of like there are only 11 votes, and you know I don't know, it passed with only 11 people, so probably it's either a lot of the people here isn't aware. I wasn't really aware, so
Yeah. That's always a challenge of when how to understand that a decision was legitimate or not.
yeah,
I feel like redoing like it's kind of a matter of who's present and how to communicate if the communication we're using is not reaching people who were rather interested but they didn't know. I guess that some of these questions are in the poll. I'm happy that 50 people have answered the poll. I did a last call now, and uh, I'll close it tomorrow for us to share the results during the community call. But I think some of these questions will emerge too. Because like if we had 50 people answering this poll, but there's 11 people voting on a snapshot, you know, uh, maybe there's a signal there too. Maybe it's just a proposal that people don't care about. Maybe there's. I think this will understand a little bit better. There's a few questions about stewardship. How are stewards representing the TEC? Is stewardship even important? Um, are we doing it right? Are we not? So maybe this will emerge, and then we can reconsider the proposal and see maybe there's other directions that weren't contemplated and people don't feel like they have the time to contribute. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of open questions.
yeah. Um, my only personal concern was about mostly about what was the name, the comms stewards, um, because well I was really happy to see the advisory stewards because I think that's first of all something we really need, like more input from more I guess relevant people or people that's day to day in the industry. So oh, because I oftentimes get the feeling that we are almost in a bubble. Um, but then for the commons stewards, um, I don't know. I had the sense that those stewards would be better off as uh, contributors to the stewards working group rather than because it seems like it is expressed as a separate group that is only elected by stewards and stuff. Like it seems too political, in my opinion. And I don't know. I yesterday I used the example of Nate. That he's not a working group lead, but he's sort of on top of everything and stuff. I would rather have him as a contributor to the steward working group, which can have certain amount of accountability and you have a single proposal for all steward related stuff and he still gets compensated, etc., etc., but he doesn't have to engage in any sort of politics to be onboarded or offboarded. um that was my only thing, but i'm I'm really happy with pretty much everything there.
Yeah, I think there's a few things there. Well, Nate is a steward, and the steward's working group lead. Like he shares the lead with Tam,
All
and he
right.
was onboarded officially, and there was all that. So I don't think he's a good example, but I think the comms people were fine too. I talked to Acid Laser, and he said they're good. They're feeling good, and they've been sharing updates about their proposals. And he said he would share a new one soon, and Chewy's back. So I don't know. He felt like everything was okay there.
With comms, they had a meeting yesterday as well about restructuring, so they're a work in progress, but seems like it's going well.
Yeah, and I think it's healthy to have uh, more autonomy, and for this to be like communicated. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I feel like there are healthy movements happening, but for sure the financial layer has to be figured out so people can feel like motivated again. Is there something you feel like could be going in a different direction than it is?
Uh, I'm not sure because there's just so much happening and changing. Uh, I don't know. I'm right now. I'm kind of lost, not necessarily in a bad way, but I'm just waiting till we have something more concrete. Uh, but something I'm really happy about is I've seen more than once discussions about having this sort of uh, having a sort of set of people that advise the TC and overall, because I do think we, as I said, like we are sometimes like in a bubble, and we don't we haven't necessarily been catering for the people that we should, the token engineers.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Rohik
Hey,
Benitez.
Rohit.
Rohik?
Bien. Bien, I don't speak English. My English is slow. Hey, Enti, ¿cómo estás?
¿Todo bien? ¿Y tú? Feliz de verte por aquí.
Perfecto. ¿A qué hora es lo de Token Engineering en español? ¿O ya sucedió o ya pasó?
Dentro de media hora.
Ah,
Pero
perfecto.
cualquier cosa, si quieres, me escribes para no que tiene que ser incómodo estar hablando en español aquí.
Okay, okay, all right. Listo.
Okay. Sorry,
Thanks.
guys. He just asked about one call.
Hi, Manu.
Hi, Liviade. Hi, everyone.
Manu, what's up?
Yeah, but to that point, NT, yeah, I think that's also going to come up in the poll. But there was also a question about should we continue funding TE projects or should we stop until we have a revenue model? I'm of the opinion that we should continue funding, and I know a lot of people disagree, but I'm happy there is a token engineering proposal now. I've been chatting for some time too with the token economics DAO folks, and it's cool to see they're also collaborating with LTF, and there is a proposal there. So I think, yeah, little by little, things will
Yeah.
start happening.
I don't think we should continue funding T projects. Maybe not. I don't know, maybe with some more strict requirements, but I don't think we should continue doing that.
Yeah.
I actually have a question that's relevant, and I guess it applies to the reply to your tweet, Livia. Again, I meant not disrespect. I just wanted to I want to create a space for dialogue, and yeah. So my question is, I was reading the handbook, and under the value section, um, it says that for me, it's okay. So I'm going to read it. It says, our commons operates from a pro social, human centered perspective and prioritizes the advancement of token engineering over short term profits. So to me, it's like that wording is somewhat. Um, it's somewhat incongruent because I think in the short term profit, it's maybe uh, conflating short term profit with income and salaries, right? There's no mention of salaries anywhere in our values, so I assume that by short term profit it is meant income and salaries as well. I think most people here are not profiting in the sense of um, maybe the way it was meant on this statement, which was maybe buying into early in the token, in the bonding curve, and then selling after the vesting period, or I don't know, the arbitrage opportunities or whatever it is meant by profit. But I think there is a sort of like an incongruence, because if we're operating from a human-centered perspective, then how can we prioritize the advancement of a science over people's livelihoods? And this is the question for right now. Like, should we stop? Should we stop funding projects so that we can keep some of the roles? And again, I understood that we had a bloated budget. I'm not against diminishing that, but I do think that the statement makes it so that we are prioritizing the advancement of a science over people. And if we're doing that, we're not human centered. Which is, I mean, it's just a way of going, right? Maybe we have a mandate, and our mandate is more important than the income that we generate, and that was fine for me for a while. When, especially when we were receiving payment from Common Stack, because that was enough. But At least it was enough for living in the global south. It's not enough if you're in the north, such as US, UK, Europe. So right now, with I guess I thought salaries were gonna go up eventually, like after a couple years of experience and etc. And it turned out that because of the bear market and because of the suggestion of majority token holders, we decided to stop anything that was not generating income. So it seems that we were true in a way to our value in that we prioritized the advancement of token engineering over income, which again, maybe by short-term profit, it does not mean income. If it does not mean income, then there's no way, there's no other mention of salaries or incomes anywhere in the values, and that's problematic. So I just want some clarity on that. If maybe it was meant in a different way, or if it was meant exactly in that way.
Yeah, thanks for raising that point. My internet is slow to open this now,
You want me to
but
share?
it's opening.
You're there.
Yeah, so well, first of all, the mission, vision, and values were decided collectively, and it was an interesting iteration process to find what is the final, like, it was almost like building a Frankenstein kind of thing, like a lot of people sharing opinions and then proposing full phrases out of them to somehow contemplate all the views being shared. But I my opinion here is that everything is talking about token engineering as a field that has this ethical concerns in its core. Like, how could the discipline of token engineering be beneficial for humans? How token engineering can be human centered, and how this commons this that is advancing this the economy that will support this discipline, how can it be focused on the long-term development of the discipline rather than on gains that people could have through this economy that won't advance the mission that this commons is supporting. I don't know if that's clear, but I can see your concern on not having something that mentions like work ethics and our values. And I think this is a challenge for the DAO space in general, like we mentioned last week. And I think is a challenge for token engineering. So if we are creating new economies, how can these new economies behave with its people? And I feel like that's a lot of what Omega is touching on. Like, what are the ethics of token engineering?
Yeah. For me, like I've been operating under the assumption that we were the proof of concept for a new type of programmable economy that would transcend the self-sacrifice of nonprofits and the self-interest of for-profits into a third type of option that would allow for the funding of a new discipline while offering fair compensation to the builders behind it. And this might very well come true tomorrow, but it is not true today, at least for me. Um, and I understand that right now the position is that our mandate takes precedence over our livelihood, and I commend everyone who is as selfless as to take part in that. And I used to be, but not anymore. I mean, given where we went after what happened with Bear Market and the declining price of our token, and how we are not, in my opinion, we're not aggressive enough in terms of generating income. And the implication of that is that we're just going to keep relying on low salaries or low compensation uh, and fewer roles, and that's just precarious in terms of um, the people who are employed here. And yeah, it's something that it's really bugging me. So I just don't think it's fair. But again, I might be operating under uh, an incorrect assumption. Maybe we are, we are focused on advancing token engineering at the expense of our own contributors, and there may be some people who are okay with that, but I am not.
May I? Or I don't know if you wanna say something, Lily?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just kind of just responding slash continuing on Manu's statement. Um, I do agree with his overall statement. I think some things like I don't necessarily agree with some specifics. Uh, but um, I think it's time that I say what I didn't wanted to touch on last week. Um, at first I didn't want it to because that was a private chat I had with one member here, but then I saw that topic being discussed openly, and so I guess that's not an issue. So the issue I touched on last week was about the relationship between the academy and the TEC, because like one of the biggest projects we were sort of pushing on for the TEC was this request board, but Angela didn't seem to be very happy with it, and we are sort of just freezed because she doesn't want to talk either until the fundamentals is live, and that's going to be mid October. And so, while I do agree with like I can I can discuss some specifics from Manu's statement, but I wouldn't be able to to just dismiss it in any form. And um, connecting the dots, I think the biggest problem we have is the relationship with the TC and pretty much everyone else. Because like we are, I see, I sense that we are sort of suffering from the tragedy of the commons. Like we are here and everyone is welcome and stuff, but then every time we have to do something, we have to ask someone else. uh like I've heard multiple times, we can do this because this is the academies, we can do that because that's, I don't know, magics or common stacks and stuff. And then it's like, okay, so what can we do? Fund everyone else? And not like they are not providing value, but it's just not sustainable because that value is not necessarily material, or at least not in the time frame that we would need it to be so that we can just continue. um and yeah, I'm just really preoccupied for like my main two things right now in the TC is first one, sort of having more input from token engineers in the space, and I'm happy to see that there's some progress in that. But then I've seen some concerns about the relationship and the state of the TEC in the, say, the overall industry, but I just don't see anything happening about that. And that I think is uh, our biggest constraint to just move forward and come to the point that the TEC was, brought out to be. Uh, and I do think that I said before that I do agree that we have to continue funding T projects, and I said we should probably, have more rigid terms or something, more rigid requirements, or a cap on the amount of money we can spend for a T project. That goes to the with hands to what Manu's saying, that we can fund as much as we want, but like there's a lot of tension between the members, and there's I believe more than half of the members of the TEC don't know if they are even going to keep receiving any feasible money uh, for the next few months. And so oh, we are in the state of like, if we don't address that, if we don't address the situation of the TEC in the overall ecosystem and the situation of the members within the TEC, we are going to be into big problems really soon, at least in my opinion. And that's everything I have to say for now.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't have so much to say. I can point to learnings on the journey and places where I think things could have been done different, but we didn't know at the time to do better. I think it's very difficult to have a permissionless, sustainable economy. I don't know if anyone has figured that out. And I think this is a state of experimentation also. And it feels quite unfortunate that there is people depending on the resources coming from here. I think this is probably a major irresponsibility from everyone to, I don't know, to not have many more disclaimers over the way that this is a very experimental ground, that like that contributions have to be at people's own risk. And I know it feels very harsh to say this, and it is. I mean, it's not a, I don't think DAOs are very, how to say this, a very, yeah, it's still not a very pro-social environment in terms of financial contribution.
I will have to slightly disagree there, because I mean, it's true, and I agree with the statement, but I do think all of us know that there's a lot of downsides and risks. Like I don't know, like we don't get benefits that traditional employers would, and we know, like, I don't think most of us are here, especially we may we may have come here with that idea, but after some time it's just really obvious to see that there are some risks. But um, what I think is more irresponsible is the state that we have put the TSC in, again, with particularly with the relationships, because I think that's the biggest bottleneck. Because like, I've been a bit upset about that. Like, we have been talking about the relationship of the TC with others for a long while now, and we know that's a big issue. But I don't know what's happening with that, And I bring that up. I I have been lately bringing that up in almost every call, and I'm trying to do my, to put my grain of salt there. But like, everyone agrees, but there's no I mean, it's also my fault because I don't know how to act in that case. But I would imagine that if we agreed that that's a big issue, that we would put more efforts into coordinating towards solving them. Because I don't know, the academy now has been unresponsive for almost 2 months because they are working on the fundamentals. But we've known that issue uh, pretty much since I entered the TEC in February, March. And if we were having more smart about that, we would have addressed that before this happened. And now we have to wait almost till November to just open the discussion. And like I don't know, we're going to, in if that's the case with everything we want to do, that there's someone working, we're going to keep spending money because we have to cover some expenses to just stand up here and talk randomly on all calls and try to solve problems we don't have the answers to because there's a higher entity that we have to respond to.
It's a case of having higher entities. I think it's just what is the value that each organization is providing, and how can we support each other rather than compete with each other. And I don't think the TEC never ever tried to compete with any token engineering organization, but I think the scarcity of the market can put us in difficult situations on like the services that the TEC is providing. First, I think that's the challenge that we're going through on Sample, on like how to create some type of revenue model over the services that the TEC can provide. And then it comes this delicate point of like, oh, maybe some of the services being offered here are also something that the TE Academy is working on, and maybe a product developed here was paid by the common stack. And so I think there is this intricacies on how groups are interconnected, and in a moment where everyone is in need of revenue. And I feel like that's something to pay attention, and something that probably like all organizations should come together and speak about things. I'm hoping this is going to happen during DevCon, that like in person everything can flow better, and TE Academy is going to be launching their course, and there going to be some space for like bringing some of these issues to the table. But yeah, unfortunately, is the public goods space feels like a place of some type of scarcity. It's like there's so much money flowing into DeFi protocols, and then when it comes to open source, which is the core of the whole crypto movement, there's still such a huge lack of funding. And I think it's an economic challenge, that it's not only, I think that's what I've been trying to say, that it's not only like an issue of this organization, but is understanding that some of the economic models we've been designing are just not sustainable, which is very ironic for token engineering projects. So, yeah.
I'd just like to make a suggestion about the transition. I think I made it previously, but so that's okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to encourage us to, if the way the Steward thing is going to work, we're going to be transitioning, that maybe transitioning from, stewards who do most of the work to stewards who are much more about facilitation, So there are some groups that are big on facilitation. Gravity and this group, for example, are really good about those things. But at the same time, there are a bunch of other groups that are there's a lot of sort of doers on that end, and so so the facility, if we're going to be moving to a different model, just trying to encourage, that we have training available for people who are transitioning out of the sort of doership thing into a facilitation sort of space, So things like liberating structures and so on might be good to have a book club around, or some kind of formal training or whatever. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Durgadas. Yeah, I think there are some discussions on if there is still time to add things to the proposal, because it feels like maybe there was not enough participation.
Okay.
Does anyone has something else to add? We have 4 minutes left. I can feel the frustration. I understand. I think there are many things to take into account. I wish I could offer a little more support, and yeah, thank you for all the sharings. No last comments?
Thank you, Liviade. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. I think this is just starting.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank you and everyone else, because I know I've been ranting more than usual in the last few calls on not only Softgov but other working groups. And uh, I guess apologize if I did use any incorrect term. Uh, but yeah, I'm I'm optimistic anyways. But I guess that's the reality. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you were very polite, Auntie. No incorrect terms. Yeah, thank you all. See you.
all right, take care. Have fun there.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.